Astalon Tears of the Earth is a very unassuming game. It was released a few weeks ago, and we had a press key when we ran through the entirety of it on stream. And while it may not look it, this is a very impressive Metroidvania style game. And it's one that is meant for kind of the moderately advanced to expert level play. And that may be a little bit to its undoing. But for our story, this is the far, far future, where we've had several post-apocalypses have happened, and the remainder of humanity is now dying from poison seeping from a mysterious tower. So it's up to our band of 3 heroes to go in there and figure out what's going on. And to do that, it's going to require a lot of platforming, jumping, and character swapping. So if you've played action kind of Lost Vikings-esque takes on this kind of design before, then this should be familiar to you. You have your 3 main characters, your fighter/warrior, who may start out as like the weakest in terms of attack strength, but with the upgrades that you find just became a complete powerhouse in terms of attack damage and defense. You have your archer, who's also your best jumper, and gets the Metroidvania staple of double jumping, and your wizard, who can attack, whose attack can phase through walls and objects, and is used for hitting kind of special traps and switches. And there are of course more secrets to come in this game, and there are a lot of them in Astalon. As part of kind of the design is really going for the high-end Metroidvania. There are a lot of secrets and false walls, and all manner of things for you to find to upgrade your character's base stats. On top of that, as you go through the game, when you die, and you're going to die a few times, you meet a mysterious elder god kind of creature who you can trade in the various soul orbs that you pick up off of enemies for permanent upgrades, buffs, quality of life features, and more. And these features are going to be what kind of is going to push you forward to beat the many bosses of the game. Now, what makes Astalon kind of stand out, especially today, is that it really reminds me of Alwa's Legacy and Alwa's Awakening, in that it's a modern retro game with its own unique twists and turns to it. The level design is very much like Metroidvania meets Dark Souls. So, on one end, you have the Metroidvania style upgrades. Each character gets new gear throughout the tower, which in turn changes how they move around, which also then affects how you go from point A to point B. The other side of this is that for most of the early game, like the first quarter, you can only swap characters at the bonfire/save points. So what that means is that typically the structure will be go out with a character who can move forward, perform specific challenges related to that character, get to a switch, a button, something that will open up a door, which will then allow you to take another character who will then make progress. And this kind of setup is very much, I think, what's going to kind of hurt this game for a lot of people, because the backtracking, especially again in the first part of this game, can be viewed as padding. One part of this is that you can't know ahead of time who is going to be the required character. Are you going to need the higher jumps of your archer? Are you going to need to hit objects that are through walls? Will you need the shield of your warrior? And unfortunately, this can lead to that situation of you go forward, you have the wrong character, go all the way back, bring the right character, and enemies will respawn when you leave and re-enter rooms. And this can certainly prove to be annoying when you're trying to make meaningful progress in the game. And Astalon is a very lengthy game. Expect to spend at least, I would say, 8 to 10 hours if you're playing this blind or casually in order to make your way around. Now, to be fair, part of that time I did get stuck because of a bug, which I'm hoping has been fixed by the time you're watching this review. But the game comes with additional modes, you can play as bonus characters, and if you want the true ending, you need to get 100% of everything found, which is not as bad as it sounds, as one of your unlockable demon upgrades is to get secret detection on your map. So with that said, Astalon is a very interesting Metroidvania. While I don't think it does anything that's too outside the box, it's really a very well made package. However, with that said, one of my main problems is with the pacing of this game, and how I think for a lot of people, they're going to tap out long before the game kind of opens up to them. And we're going to talk about that next, but first a quick break, and as always, if you're interested in my thoughts on design, then check out my latest books. For entry-level students, we have 20 Essential Games to Study, and then the Game Design Deep Dive series that takes an extensive look at different genres, with horror coming by the end of 2021. As I said in the last part, Astalon has some issues when it comes to its pacing and structure, and part of that is the onboarding. This is a game that is clearly meant for experts of the genre. If you're not accustomed to exploring every, off-looking tile or wall, then you're going to be in trouble, as this is one of those games that you can have completely new areas and corners of the map that are hidden behind a fake wall somewhere. And I don't think Astalon does enough to kind of onboard new players because of it. It has that Metroidvania staple of kind of introducing or having issues at the start that are then solved through the progression and unlocks. But I think a lot of people are going to tune out of this game or tune off before they get to that point, specifically when it comes to character swapping. I'm going to do a light spoiler here because it's important to say. But in the kind of like the northwest portion of the map, you're going to get the item that lets you swap characters at will without needing to return to bonfires. This is an amazingly important quality of life as well as level design item that if you don't get this, it makes the game, well, one part impossible, but it also removes a lot of the frustration and backtracking that plagues the first quarter of this game. But if you don't get that in time, and when I was playing this casually, it took me about like 3 hours of play to get to that item without knowing it was there, you're going to, I think, feel very frustrated by this game. And I feel like this is a title where people are either going to play this for like an hour and then just stop enjoying it, or they're going to go all the way because they're all in at that point. And I definitely did that. We played this all the way through on stream and I enjoyed it. But I would not recommend this game if you are new to Metroidvanias. Titles like Hollow Knight, or even something like Ender Lilies that we played, I think do a better job of easing the player in and providing them with a very solid kind of core mechanics that they can then grow from there. I wouldn't say Astalon is a hard game. Once you know what you're doing, there are parts that are challenging, but with enough upgrades, you can kind of muscle your way through. But I don't think the game is paced as good as those other games as I mentioned. And I know that I'm coming down pretty hard on it, but this is still an all-around amazing Metroidvania. But kind of similar to Alwa's Legacy and Alwa's Awakening, it assumes that you're already familiar and fans of the genre, and doesn't, I think, do a lot to welcome new players, hence why I recommended those other games. So, if you're new to Metroidvania design, I would not start with Astalon, but if you are a veteran of it and you're looking for another really all-around great example of it, then definitely check out Astalon Tears of the Earth. So with all that said, thank you so much for watching this video. I would like to thank developers for submitting or giving me a press key to check this one out. If you'd like me to tickle your game in the future, please get in touch as we're always looking for new games. Come back for daily discussions on game design here and on game wisdom, where we examine the art and science of games. And as always, be sure to check out our Discord and Patreon link down below. But with all that said, thanks for watching this video on Astalon Tears of the Earth, and until next time, take care.